think most pros would go for Messi. And you're right, the team's built around him, but why wouldn't you build a team around him?
This ex-Liverpool legend was fired from the BBC at the time when many middle-aged white men were fired and cancelled across mainstream media. What's the truth about if you were axed by the BBC?
The thing with the BBC for me was just the way that they did it. They don't really understand things like you've been a footballer and you get taken off the pitch.
We have some solid debates on whether footballers are paid fairly, and he exposes financial fair play rules and Manchester City. Why is it that Everton get docked points but Man City don't?
Why haven't they been in court already? I feel sorry for the players in many ways. It's not their fault.
No.
When they signed, they didn't know anything about this.
Whether you're a disruptor, a football fan, a fan of free speech, or you're frustrated about the state of the UK, you will love this episode. Mark, what's the truth about if you were axed by the BBC?
Well, I was. So basically what happened was Dan Walker left, and
Dan Walker was?
He presented on Football Focus, and like a really, really good presenter. And he found out that he wasn't going to be kept on through his agent, I think. So I suddenly thought, well, if he's going, I'm probably next because of my age. And lo and behold, I was. So it was, the thing with the BBC for me was just the way that they did it, really, as much as anything. When I stopped doing Match of the Day as opposed to Football Focus, I met the head honcho in terms of football, and I think they'd moved to Manchester then. They said, "Come on, let's come and have a lunch and all that." And I'm thinking, "Oh, this is good." Right, because normally when somebody asks you to have a lunch, you're having a good time. He was asking me to come to the lunch and tell me I wasn't doing Match of the Day anymore. And you know what the worst thing was? He told me, we sat down, we hadn't ordered or anything. He said, "Oh, look, we're going to change it. I'm just going to do Football Focus." He ate what I ordered. He ate. Brilliant.
And then sacked you.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I think it's funny. It wasn't funny at the time, obviously, but I find it funny now. And it was just, you could tell that he didn't really want to do it, but he did do it. So.
And what did he say to you? Do you think he told you the truth and the real reason?
No.
Did he chicken out of telling you the truth?
Well, I think the sentence was, we're going to change the thing around. So there was no discussion as in, you've all done really well and all that, Mr. Grace. Which I kind of realised that was going to come, but it was a bit of a shock at the time. And then, obviously the Football Focus thing, which I got a phone call in March time. So obviously season finishes May, June. And I was on a 1-year contract. Absolutely fine. Didn't have a problem with that. But they rang me up in March time and said, "Oh, Laura," we said, we're gonna take Football Focus on the road, and we don't think you'll want to do that." And I went, "Oh, it'd be nice to have been asked, wouldn't it?" And he said, "Well, you know what it's like." And I said, "No, not really." So then, I knew that I was going. But I think one of the problems with the B was that they don't really understand things like you've been a footballer, and sometimes you get left out, and you get taken off the pitch. And it's as though they can't tell you the bad news. Instead of just saying, "Look, you've had a fantastic run, but, we're going to change it all around. And, thanks very much, but no thanks." So that, for me, was the problem, really, as much as anything. Somebody just rang me up and said, "Look, we're going to take Football Focus on the road, and we don't think you'll want to do that." Well, actually, I would have done it. But.
And do you think it really was because of your age? I mean, did you actually find out why?
No, well, I never asked why, because I just walked away and just left it to them. But yeah, I think that it is, and I don't. I think the thing with Football Focus as well is it doesn't really matter how old you are, does it? If you've got a point to make and point to prove as well. But yeah, so it soured it a little bit, which it shouldn't have done, because I had 20 odd years and it was brilliant. I'd been around the world and either in front of the camera or working in terms of commentary and all those kind of things. So, and you know, and I loved it to death. But and it's always a shock when something like that. But yeah, they could have dealt with it so much better. I think Sue Barker went through the same thing, and I think, you know, they asked to kind of like keep it low, and then low kind of in terms of not say too much. And about 2 weeks later, I think she thought, well, sod this. And she had the same thing. Why they let her go, I'll never ever know.
Do you think they were just trying to have more diversity and it was like a PR thing?
Yeah. They definitely wanted more diversity, which is absolutely fine. But
you don't feel discriminated against?
Nah. I'd had a good run. It got to me, the fact, the way that they did it. And then, of course, obviously, you know, when it came out and they go, well, he's only moaning because he's lost his job and all that. And, well, I was, because I didn't think I should have lost my job. And whether I was 6 or 60, it shouldn't have made any difference. In fact, if I'd been 6, I probably spoke more sense.
Yeah. But it was at a time, wasn't it, where a lot of people got sacked very quickly. You know, Matt Letizia, many of the people that in Sky went, didn't they? A lot of the people
Phil Thompson,
that you know, yeah.
Charlie Nicholas.
Yeah.
They got done on the same day.
Did they?
Yeah.
And what were they told?
I think it's the classic, we're going to change it, which obviously Sky did, but it, you know, for them, they thought I'm pretty sure it was before the season started. I think that they thought, oh, we're going to have a chat about next season and all those things, because their viewing figures with those boys plus Merce would have been really, really good with Jeff, obviously. I think Jeff's had the hump a little bit because he's left, hasn't he? I don't think he wanted to leave. I wouldn't have thought so. And if you look at that, why would you want him to leave?
Yeah. Do you think they've shot themselves in the foot? Because it doesn't seem the same anymore.
I think it's called change, isn't it? So it's not. If I talk to you about Sky, I think that it's not as good as it was.
Yeah.
But then I know some of the lads who were obviously involved, and it's all right saying, yeah, we're just going to change it, but you're going to change it. You want to keep your viewing figures, or at the very least make them go higher, which I wouldn't think that's happened.
Yeah. So Joey Barton came out, didn't he, and was really critical of, you know, women football commentators. What's your thought on that?
I you know what? Seriously, I don't mind them. But there's only one bugbear I have with that, which is all the girls can commentate on the men's game, and you know, there's some good ones and there's some very average ones, but the men can't commentate on the girls' games. So I'm not sure what that's all about. But you know, they're a good and they're a bad, aren't they? So look, it is what it is. If you don't like it, you turn off or you turn over.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about this a lot, and I don't really talk about it because I don't want people to think, oh, I'm just being a gimmick and jumping on any bandwagon. But I think these things are worth thinking about because I've been a Liverpool fan my whole life. I love watching, you know, people who are very knowledgeable. And, you know, there is a part of me that thinks, well, you know, no matter how good a female footballer was, she's never played the male game, and surely it's different.
Yeah, well, I'm with you with that. So you know, let's cut to the Champions League final, and one of the girls is either commentating on it or one of the pundits. They can't know what it's like. But by the same token, the men couldn't know what it's like if they're commentating on the women's European Cup final or Champions League final. But it's, for some reason, that's just the way that it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
I mean, would you turn it off if you didn't like the commentary?
It definitely makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because the Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville has worked brilliantly.
Oh, excellent.
And I'm a Liverpool fan, and I now love Gary Neville.
I think you need to see the doctor quickly. Very quickly. Yeah.
All right, I love, there's an added element to watching football when you've got Gary and Jamie together.
Yeah, because they've done it.
Yeah, they've done it, but they were enemies, and now they've sort of frenemies.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you say, would you turn it off? Well, actually, really good commentary makes a huge difference. Yeah. And really bad, or not really bad, but just lukewarm, average, or not very, it does make a big difference.
I call it STBO.
What's that?
Stating the bleeding obvious. And it does, because sometimes I listen, obviously, and watch everything, and think, this fella's talking a load of shite, by the way.
Yeah.
But well, such is life.
Yeah, so I think maybe I would turn it off if the commentator wasn't.
You wouldn't
good.
turn it off if it was Liverpool, though.
No,
no, well,
no. I'd have to turn the volume off.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. Turn the what?
The volume. Yeah, the volume. Yeah, the volume. I'll tell you something that fascinated me, and actually, Jamie's coming on the show, Jamie Carragher.
Okay.
Obviously, what happened with spitting, and I was fascinated because I thought, maybe if it was anyone else, he might have been fired. As a Liverpool and Jamie Carragher fan, by the way.
Possibly. I'm sure there was a time where he's thinking, I've lost my job.
Why do you think he got away with it? Because you never spat on anyone, a fan.
No, exactly. Why do I think I got away with it? Because you're probably allowed one, aren't you?
Or is it because he was quite big?
Well, he is quite big. Yeah. But I think you're allowed one. Everyone makes a mistake at some stage, and he was wrong, wasn't he? But I think the point that you're making is so big. Maybe that if it hadn't been him, been somebody, been a lesser person, they'd have lost the job. But I think we've all been through life with that one. Yeah.
If you look at someone like Ricky Gervais, he can say anything and not get cancelled. And there are smaller comedians.
Well, I'll tell you, how can you even be a comedian?
Well, that's another thing, yeah. I mean, surely comedy should always be the one place where you can say the risky thing because it's supposed to be funny.
Well, of course.
And now you can't say anything.
No, they're absolutely. What's the name of the Scottish guy? Do you know the one that I mean? Who basically just...
Well, there's so many of them now that seem to get shut down.
From the first minute, you're going, oh my God, but it's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, Jimmy Carr reckons whatever he's already said is going to get him cancelled. It's just a matter of time.
Well, possibly.
When they want him to. Why have we come... Is that quite woke? Why have we become that sort of soft?
It's very woke. Well, we are soft.
Why?
Well, the country's knackered anyway. That's the first thing, isn't it? Don't get me started on that. But
well, I will, because I got a question on that.
But it's just the way that we are. It's just... we're frightened to death of upsetting anybody. How the hell did they win the Second World War? Does it mean it's just...
Well, we were a different nation back then. We had an empire back then.
Exactly. And then we had a proper country.
Yeah.
But it's that frightened... It's just the whole thing as well. And you can just see with some of these guys when they go on air, it's like they've been told, look, you can't say this, you can't do that. And it's like, really?
Did you have that?
One person's opinion.
Yeah. Did you have that in the BBC? Were they like saying things you couldn't say? No.
No, never.
Well, that's good. How did it change, the BBC, from when you started to when you were axed?
Well, the money was different, and I don't mean the money that you were paid, but in terms of in travel and all those kind of things, etc., was completely different. But you were just you were aware of. Look, I remember in Brazil, I was co-commentating with Guy Mowbray. And I think it was, I can't remember who it was playing. Just say it was Switzerland versus Argentina. And Switzerland had broken away. And this guy, honestly, he's up against a goalkeeper and it's 0-0. And it's late in the game. You're thinking, crank, if he scores here, Argentina go out. Anyway, he kind of didn't really decide and didn't really make a decision about anything. And the goalkeeper came out and basically stopped him scoring. And I think I came up with like, wow, look at that. He was kind of too busy. He was too busy thinking about his handbag or whatever to score. So after the game, boss pulls me and said, you can't really say that. And I went, well, I can't and I can. And I said, okay. He said, so you might not be commentating on the World Cup final. And I went, okay. So anyway, they had a little meeting, came back and said, no, you're going to do it. So I said, all right, thanks very much, as you do. In the World Cup final, which was like, it was 0-0 for a long, long time. And I think it might have been Argentina who got a free kick. And, and I'm saying, look, just put your bags down, put your bags down, girls, and somebody make a decision. Do you know what? Nothing was said. So that was a bigger game than from the one that when I actually spoke, and nothing was said whatsoever.
Why?
Well, I don't know.
Did you do that on purpose to be a bit cheeky?
No, I wish I was clever enough to do so. It was just one of those stupid things that you say. You know, when you're in the game, you're thinking, "Oh, Christ Almighty, let's make something happen." It was just one of those things. I'm pretty sure Guy Mowbray I think he was laughing, and I would think the lad who looked after us on the gantry, I think they were all laughing, and I suddenly thought, "Christ, what have I done?" But nothing said at all.
Mm. So what's the most aggressive thing you've seen in the changing room from a manager?
Oh, I've seen scraps and everything.
Really?
Yeah,
Actual fights?
Oh God, yeah, half time.
Who did you see fighting?
Oh, I can't possibly tell you that. But listen,
a fight between a manager and a player,
and players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, players having somebody up against the wall and everything. Oh,
really?
Yeah. But the funniest one was when I was at Brighton and Alan Mullery was a manager, and he did fab for me, absolutely brilliant. But we'd gone from what was third division to second division to the top division in three years. So we'd had a great run and everything, but we're in danger of getting relegated. And there was about 4 games to go. And Muller's, his bark was also, it was worse than his bite as it was. But it was good. And so we came in on a Monday. We'd been beaten at home by Bristol City. We had 4 games left, and we needed to probably win 3 out of the 4, which we did, right? But so we've all got changed, ready to go out training. And Brian Horton, the captain, had been called up to Muller's office, and Brian came down and said, "Oh, we're having a meeting upstairs with the gaffer." Most unusual, in the boardroom. So we go into the boardroom, and the chairman's there, the vice chairman's there, and Mullers gets up, and he goes, and he pointed to the chairman and vice chairman. "They are going to sack me if we don't avoid relegation." And he said, "As far as you're concerned," and pointed to everyone around, all the players, he said, "Think about this." He said, "They've just got me a brand new Rover." And he said, "It's parked outside." And he said, "If we get beat on Saturday and I see any of you, I'm going to run you over." It worked. We stayed up. Yeah. But I mean, you could do that in those days. Loads of scraps. My first day for Liverpool, very first day, they just signed me for 900 grand plus VAT. We go to play a pre-season game in Spain against Atletico Madrid. Bear in mind, they'd just beaten Real Madrid in the final that year of the European Cup, as it was. Hot day. I think it was a Friday. We're playing on the Saturday. So we trained on Friday morning, did a little bit running about, warmed up. Then we had a five-a-side, which we did all the time. And Alan Kennedy didn't pass the ball to Graham Souness, who'd shouted for it. Graham just went over and clouted him. Seriously.
In the game?
Yeah. So within a minute of playing in like the first training session ever, it wasn't even the game. So the first training session ever, I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what's all this about?" I mean, kissed and made up.
Yeah.
But that's the way that it was.
So do you think sort of...
It was better for it.
Yeah.
I think the game was better for it.
And with managers now, are they softer?
I think they have to be.
So they just wouldn't get away with it?
Well, softer and cleverer.
Yeah.
I mean, remember when the 2 Newcastle lads kicked off quite a while ago? It was massive news, and all the old lads like myself are going, "Well, that happened every other week. What's the problem with you?" But of course, then because every game's now televised, and you can see everything. Yeah, I mean, the two boys just set off, started having a go at each other, and punches were thrown. I mean, but you know what? If you're the manager, if you're really clever, you get them in and go, "By the way, we should show that passion every week."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think, is it easier or harder to be a manager now?
Harder.
Why?
You just got to be so careful what you say to the players, and they go crying to their agents if you upset them. You've got to be so cute.
Do people leave a lot quicker and easier now from club to club?
Yeah, they do. But that might just be in terms of they're not quite good enough at the club that they're at. So that's not an issue, and everybody makes money, don't they?
And so do you think the agents like movement because they make their share all the time?
100%.
So they're stoking the fire and causing trouble?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be good agents and there's some awful agents, as everybody knows. But all of a sudden, if you've had this lad on a 4-year contract and he's done 2 years and he doesn't like it, you'll be ringing all sorts of managers saying, he's not happy. That's the best one, isn't it? He's not happy. He's homesick. Homesick's probably the best one. That should be number one. Because if you say
they're professional footballers.
I know, yeah, but if you say you're homesick and like it's affecting me at home and all that, and it's affecting the missus and the kids and all that, it's a winner, isn't it? It's an absolute winner. And as a manager, what are you going to say? What can you say?
Yeah,
you can't say anything. I bet there's loads of moves in relation to that.
Do you think players are less loyal now than they used to be?
Yeah. And with the money, I mean, the money's fab, innit? It's absolutely brilliant. But excuse my French, I call it off money.
Yeah.
Because you can tell a manager to do one.
Yeah.
Basically, and there ain't a lot they can do. They can leave you out, but then the owner of the football club saying, "Hold on a minute, he's on 80 grand a week, and he doesn't even train with the first team." Yeah.
Do you think players are more in it for the money than wanting to be a great? We were talking about Salah, if he will leave or not. Does he want to be a great, or does he want to chase the money?
Well, I think my argument with you would be I think he's already a great.
I agree.
But
he could go up. He still could go up the scoring rankings.
Yeah.
And you can be a great or you can be a great, can't you?
Yeah.
Because surely to be a great, you've got to have been there 7 to 10 seasons, no?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And have in those 7 to 10 seasons proper returns.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And play for the team. Look, players can sign a 5-year contract one day and within 3 or 4 months they go knock on the door and just say, "Boss, I'm not happy."
I'm homesick.
Which one of the 7 are you?
Yeah.
Grumpy?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But is life not a bit like that at times?
Well, maybe it's indicative of society.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry. Yeah.
You know, for example, I've got 110 odd staff here, and certainly now people chop and change jobs way more than they used to. And
do that because they're not, as far as they're concerned, you're not giving them enough opportunities.
I think it's, one, they don't have the same loyalty anymore.
No, that's absolutely 100%.
And, I've been a Liverpool fan for 43 of I started when I was 2 and I got my first kit bought for me by my dad.
Okay.
And, players didn't chop and change much.
No, they didn't. And there was more loyalty, but that money changes everything.
Yeah, true. But is there a lack of, I think as well, you're right, money changes everything, of course. Yeah. And an agent is a bit like a headhunter in business. Yeah. Just phones up their staff, that they've placed every 2 years. And, here's a 2-year itch. We'll just tease them out. They may have stayed for 4 if they weren't getting dangled. I think also people just don't seem to want to work on what they're doing. They just think it's going to be easier or better somewhere else. Mane left. Didn't work out for him. A lot of people who leave Liverpool doesn't work out for them instead of sticking it out with what you're doing.
But they don't see that because they probably got paid up by Liverpool and get a whopping big at the club to go to.
But that's short-termism, isn't it? Because then your career can be derailed.
Yeah. And there aren't too many cases where they've done better. They might have got more money, but they probably haven't.
Yeah, not in the last few years. Not in the last few years.
No.
Yeah, I just think sometimes, people have a more short-term, it'll be easier if I just leave.
Don't you think
mentality.
it's the world we live in?
Yes.
It's like,
recruitment's the same. As soon as it gets a little bit hard, exit stage right.
Yeah.
Instead of going, okay, what do I need to do to improve?
Stick it out.
Yeah.
Come back in the afternoon and concentrate on something that you're not particularly good at. But it's indicative of society, isn't it?
So you said about the UK, don't get me started. I'd love to get you started. What's gone wrong in the UK? Because I think it's a mess.
Well, look, so I don't do politics, but one of the big things for me would be, so Boris, before he was in power, and he had the big bus, the battle bus before the election, the whole thing was a lie, wasn't it? And it's like, so we all say, we didn't realise, and then obviously he gets a top job, and we're saying, well, hold on a minute, he's lied about that thing. Remember the bus, and it had we're losing so much a year, and going, coming out of of Europe and all those kind of things. And it was just a line. It's almost like saying, well, we can all do that. And I just think, well, no, that's not good at all, is it?
Well, look, we can't really say it on YouTube, but the C word.
Yeah.
4 years ago, the L word, the V word,
yeah.
What they did to the country. There was just lies everywhere, and they're just going to get off scot-free.
Yeah. And the other thing is, and the guy who drove me here today, and we were talking about this, funnily enough, and I just went, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. And he went, neither am I. So say, I would vote Conservative, generally, right? And I'm sort of thinking, they got this in an absolute mess. Liz Truss, the whole absolute, complete car crash. And then you look and think, so does that mean you're going to go to Labour? And I look at Labour and think, maybe I might vote Conservative. But I think the worst thing is that you don't vote. I think that's a waste.
And a lot of people are feeling like that now.
There's loads of people.
Because what's the point?
Yeah.
Because they're both as bad as each other.
And we can't change it anyway.
No, because surely the system needs... I don't do too much politics, but this is our country. And if we don't speak up on these platforms, nothing will definitely change.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think there's a chance of changing so that there can be more competition? Competition is good for football. Competition is good for business. There's no competition in politics.
No. And what's your qualification anyway to be in politics?
The school you went to, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, Eton, obviously, places like that. Yeah, no, but it's just, and you look at us and you just think, no matter who's going to be in control, we're in a mess. I mean, I'm lucky insofar as I have an Irish passport, so I'm Schengen. Happy days. See all you boys at the other border, you stay there.
Yeah.
But even that, that's just completely mad, isn't it? And the other thing with that is David Cameron ordered the vote, right? Fine, ordered the vote. But, what did we know at the time? Nothing, dear.
No.
So why all the people in Parliament didn't vote? Just let them vote. They know more about it than we do, but they made us vote, and all of a sudden it's gone, it's backfired, hasn't it, completely? This is the most I've ever spoke about politics ever in my life.
Wow. All right, well, let's bring it back onto football then. But
I was probably better at politics.
Yeah. I do think it's important to talk about these things. And a lot of people are scared to. And sometimes the platforms silence that. And I just think if we let that happen, we're in a way complicit, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. And everybody should have free speech.
Yeah.
And with it, without the danger of somebody, unless it's really bad, suing their ass off them. It's just like, if you've got an opinion, just say it. Don't be frightened to think, if I say that, I'm going to be in trouble. Just say it. Tell us what it is.
But the problem is it's such a risk now to do that, isn't it?
Well, lose your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Wow.
I know.
For years, people have been asking me where I buy my watches. Many of you may know I'm a watch collector, I'm a watch investor, and those as an asset class have done me very well in the last 15 years. I have never shared where I source my watches from or my watch dealer until now. My watch dealer used to be a professional footballer for Manchester United, and he formed a watch brand called Broadwalk, and he sources the higher end brands like Rolex, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe and Richard Mille. I trust him, I've used him for many years, and recently we've done a partnership. Hence I'm inviting you, if you want to start investing in watches and protect your money from the banks and inflation, to check out Broadwalk. That's BROADWALK. And the website is broadwalkgroup.com. The email is sales@broadwalkgroup.com. And please don't share this, but his number is 07496 878 153. Obviously, only message him if you're serious about buying and investing in the higher end watches. People have been asking me for years, and for the first time ever, you can get access to my watch dealer. How do you think the big pump of money in the last couple of decades into football has affected the game?
I think the game is really good. I think the Premier League this season has been as good as it's ever been, and so many late goals, so many late goals. And, you know, one of the things, in fairness, you know, the board comes up and you played 100 minutes, right? And everyone, the winning team at the time are thinking, ooh, like that. But, you know, it's 100 minutes and that's the way that it is. In many ways, I think it's been very, very good. And in other ways, obviously not, because wherever you've got big money, then you've got greed. And once you've got greed, it's always a little bit difficult. But in terms of football, I think it's been really, really good. And if also somebody could buy out VAR and get rid of it, set it on fire, it would be even better.
Well, I want to talk about that in a minute.
That'll be 40 minutes.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, big money's always been in football.
Even when you played?
Yeah. In
loads of big, massive overseas investors coming in and buying the clubs and pumping in hundreds of millions. Was that happening back then?
No, that wasn't happening back then. But in relation, what we were getting paid in relation to the man in the street was getting paid was massive. And there was an enormous cheer in the Liverpool dressing room when Maggie got in. Not that we voted for her, most of us, you can imagine. Maggie got in, and instead of paying, well, at one stage, we were paying 87 pence in the pound.
In tax?
Yeah. Because so people say, yeah, but you've earned it. Well, yeah, we did earn it. But
you paid 87.
It went from 60 to 87. But when she got in, she dropped it down to back to 60. And we're all like, we love Maggie. Well, I mean, we didn't.
Yeah.
But we did.
You like the extra money. So you're saying you would earn, say, 10 grand a week and they'd take 8,700 off in tax?
Well, no, I think you had to get over the threshold, didn't you?
So it was the top threshold. But you were all surely on the top threshold.
Well, yeah. Because I mean, I would probably the most I ever earned when I was at Liverpool would have been about 115, 120 grand. We won 3 competitions that year, so obviously we got 5 grand for each competition, but that would have been the most. So
in a year.
Yeah. So I was.
And now they earn it in a week.
Earning it after about 20 minutes. Not that I'm jealous or anything. But you know, so good on them. Good on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the upper band, you were paying 87 pence in the pound in tax. I mean, I think it's ridiculously high now, but God, if it was that high, didn't it make you just want to go abroad?
Yeah. But obviously it was different. You were contracted, weren't you? So I found out quite a few years later when Ian Rush went, and I had 3 years left on my contract. Rushy signed for Juventus, played for us for a year on loan. And I had this situation where the club came to me. So I've got 3 years left of a 4-year deal. And they said, we're going to give you a new contract. I think it was just after we'd won in Rome in the European Cup. And I'm just thinking, more money, happy days, all that. So, you know, didn't have an agent, went in and sorted it out and everything, did it really, really quickly, all that kind of thing, one thing and another. And the only thing was I asked the chief exec at Liverpool what happened if I got injured and couldn't play again. Anyway, I ended up getting Liverpool to insure me. I was the first person ever.
Right.
And in the end, I finished. So I got paid up, which was good. But going back to the thing was, and I obviously Rushy came back, and we were on a trip somewhere about 6 months later, and one of the guys, Tom Saunders, God rest his soul, who used to go, he was in the boot room. He was very rarely mentioned, very clever man and everything. And we were sat on a plane. I'd say we were going to Bangkok. We were going in this storm, and he had hold of my arm like that because he wasn't a good flyer. Okay, and I was like, "The hell, Tom?" And he said, "They wanted you, you know." I said, "What are you on about?" He said, "Juventus, where Russia went. They wanted you." And I thought, crafty buggers. So we've been so stupid.
So crafty as in they'd redone your contract to keep you there.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking like, they love me.
Yeah.
They love me and they think I'm brilliant, and all that kind of stuff. And that's what it was for. I would have gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, 2 reasons.
How long had you been at Liverpool by then?
So that was 85, so 4 years. I'd done 4 years.
Wow. Why would you have gone?
I would have gone because I got my Italian, Spanish and French O level. And I just thought, you can always come back. And I thought, Rushy's going. You know, I would have gone because I've been with Rushy. And it sounds like Rishi, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Rushy.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, I would have gone because you can always come back. And I just thought, yeah, go to another country. And I think, you know, when you go to another country, if you don't know the language, it's difficult, isn't it? But if you've got an idea and got your O levels and stuff like that, he says, yeah, I would have gone. Yeah.
So back on the money thing, why is it that Everton get docked points, but Man City don't?
Oh, I don't.
I mean, isn't it pretty obvious that they've broken so many financial fair play rules?
Yeah.
How are they getting away with it then?
Well, why haven't they? Why haven't they been in court already? So, I mean, I think the head of the Premier League said the other week we're getting very, very close, but it's been about 3 years, isn't it?
Is it because they've got so much money and really good lawyers or something?
Well,
why?
I think that'll be part of it. I think if you're a lawyer in that particular process, you wouldn't be rushing every day, would you, to sort something out? You just take the time, and obviously, if you work for yourself, you're making massive money, and yeah, but it's daft. I mean, and
do you think they've broken fair play rules?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think everybody thinks, but you're going to say to me, what should be the punishment?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know exactly what the crime is, but
True.
I think they'll probably just get a massive fine, or they
Which
might get
that won't mean anything to them, will it?
No, and the other thing might be next season you start 10 points deducted. Well, they probably still win the league anyway, wouldn't they? You know, because they're brilliant. And I feel sorry for the players in many ways. It's not their fault.
No.
When they signed, they didn't know anything about this. But it is amazing, and you know, as good as they've won the league and all that, and we're talking about the games they've played and the fantastic skill and all that, and yet at the back end of it all, it's like, well, hold on a minute. You've still got to sort these charges out.
Yeah. Do you think footballers are paid too much at the moment?
No. And the reason I say that, because they're entertainers, and they bring in millions and millions and millions. And nearly every team now in the Premier League, I think there's about 13 foreign owners now. So they wouldn't be there, would they, if they didn't think they could make money? So I don't have a problem with them making money at all. At all.
And look at someone like Man United, though. I mean, they've painted themselves into a corner with how high their salaries are, haven't they?
Yeah. And they're now saying we're trying to get new players in and incentivize them. You ain't going to work.
Why not?
Well, because so you're going to bring someone in and say, right, so instead of giving you 250 grand a week, we're giving you 200. But if you win this, this, and this, you'll get your other 50. Players won't do it.
Well, because there's only 1 out of 11 of them. They can't.
No, they won't do it.
No.
It's not even that. They won't do it. They'll just go down the road. If they're that good a player, they will go down the road and go, you know what, I'm doing that. I want all my money. But that's the situation that we're in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I mean, I just plucked 250 grand out the sky. There's not that many on 250 grand, but there's a lot of players on lots and lots and lots.
Do you think players have a lot more power now?
Yeah, I really seriously do. Although the other thing with that is, it's with managers, it's actually a little bit easier to leave them out now, because you know this thing about the doctor can test them. Say they're playing on a Saturday, the doc can test them on Friday morning, and it's to do with your white cells and your red cells. And if they are low, I don't know if that's red or white, he can then go to the manager and go, look, you know, he's low.
Which means what? He's just fatigued. He needs a rest.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But so the manager gets the player in and says, look, you're low, so we're going to rest you. You're going to play on Tuesday.
So you can use the doctor as the excuse.
Yeah. Well, you know, excuse, call it, but they probably are low. I'm not saying that they're lying, but, you know, they probably are low. But you know what I think is players take it so easily. It's just like, okay, I'm not playing.
Yeah, occasionally when I see someone cop a strop for being subbed, I like it.
Yeah.
Because surely you want to be on the pitch, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. But it's just, they all come off now and start giving themselves high fives.
Hugs.
And hugs. and hugs. But
would you have high-fived anyone if you got subbed?
No. No.
Would you have been upset if you got subbed?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And if it had been Graham Souness, he'd have been fighting everybody. No, Charlie. Yeah, you won't, because you want to play. You just, and I don't, you see them coming off after 70 minutes, and it looks like they're not particularly bothered. It's like, oh yeah, numbers up, right? See you later, bye. Come off and like high five, everyone shaking their hands and
Round
all
of
that.
applause.
You'd be looking and thinking, what the hell? But if you really think about it, that's one less game they're going to get injured.
Yeah.
If you want to be cynical.
Yeah, and they play a lot more games now, don't they?
No, they don't. It's absolute fallacy.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, the reason is because I know this, because I did this thing the other week, and this guy was saying, it was a Liverpool thing, and the guy was saying about all the games and all the played, and he reckoned that in 1984, when we won the European Cup in Rome, I think there was either 5 or 6 of us played 60 odd games.
In one season?
In one season.
And that's how many weeks a season?
40 something, maybe a little bit less.
Wow.
And
so you're playing 1.5 games every single week?
Yeah, and then if you chuck the travel in that, so if you're playing in Europe, chuck the travel in that, chuck your diet in that and all those kind of things. It was just amazing we ever won anything, to be honest with you.
And did you like playing that amount of games, or did you feel it?
Yeah.
Did it get you into a rhythm, playing more games?
Yes to that. But the other thing about it as well is I didn't like training. I just didn't like
just
it.
wanted
And
to
I
play.
would, yeah, but I would. Joe Fagan pulled me up one day on it when we were training at Melwood, and he said, "You're all right, son." And I, yeah, Joe. Yeah. He said, "You don't seem particularly interested," and it was a Thursday, and I said, Joe, I'm ready to play on on Saturday. And, today's, I'm thinking about who I'm going to play against and all those kind of things. And he went, that's fine. He said, but the day where we think you're taking the piss, he said, you'll be left out. But yeah, it was just, everybody's different, aren't they? Some lads would train morning, noon and night, and others just, you didn't have to. I had like a really slim frame and I didn't put much weight on at all. In fact, probably a bit under than I should have been. But I just knew. I started on Thursday for Saturday, thinking in my head who we were playing against. Yeah. And I didn't feel the need. Don't get me wrong, we had 5-a-sides and all that, but I wouldn't be diving in for tackles and all that. I'd be like, no, leave it with you.
Yeah. What makes a great manager?
Making a player better, I would say.
And what makes a manager make a player better?
Brains. Look, I think, you can only talk about your days. I can only talk about Liverpool insofar as it was, you're under pressure all the time. You're expected to in every single game. And the backroom staff knew that. We hardly spoke about the opposition ever. Hardly ever. And it would always be concentrate on what we do. And they would also, they wouldn't, you wouldn't, if you'd come into our dressing room at 2:45 and the kick-off 3:00, it would be relatively quiet. And it would just be the 11 guys who were starting thinking about what they were doing. And it wasn't like, you weren't like thumping people and come on and all that kind of stuff. It was, I think if you're in a good side, you're in a good side, obviously, and stuff like that. But just little things that managers would say to you. And I remember Ronnie Moran one day said to me, he says, so when I was playing, I was quick, okay, and I'd kind of even give someone half a yard start and then, go hopefully and take the ball away from them. And I loved the crunch of the tackle. And I wasn't, me and Hansen, we weren't filthy or dirty, or we weren't like that. We were just footballers and stuff. And Ronnie once said to me, he said, why do you always do that? And I said, I don't know, I've kind of always done that. He said, well, why don't you get there quicker? And then we get the ball quicker and we go up the other end quicker. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's quite good, isn't it? Yeah. So he said, instead of wanting to smash someone legally with a tackle and the ball could have gone anywhere, just get there earlier. And it was just all those simple things all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like an eye for detail in a way. Is it detail or is it just simple?
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. They were, so the guys in the boot room were Thursday for Saturday. So we're playing Saturday home all right. But Thursday after training, they went into the boot room, and it was a boot room, and it was tiny, and they sat on skips and they drank whiskey. And that's
The footballers?
no, no. Well, we did later, but no. The boot room, they'd have a little bit of whiskey, and there was whiskey always in our dressing room. You could have a bit of whiskey before you went to play. Wow. If it was cold.
Yeah,
that wasn't unusual.
Yeah,
and they were in there, and they were basically, we used to say they were pushing and running, which was that they were actually picking the team, and. Bob was in charge. Bob Paisley was my first one. And don't get me wrong, the manager ultimately made the decision, but they would have a conversation. They would have a conversation in the boot room about whatever. And I remember one day, we'd all come back on the bus, and a friend of mine came, and I took him into the players' lounge, and everything, was talking to him and all that, and I lost track of time, and all the boys are gone. Right, so this is on a Thursday. We're playing away on a Friday in London, and on Friday you come into the ground, bring your stuff to travel to go and play. So everyone's gone, and it's Thursday. The boot room's there, and there was no sheet ever put up. There was never a team put up ever at Liverpool. It was just you were told either on Friday or Saturday you were playing or you weren't playing. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? So, because I don't know whether to bring my kit, and I hadn't been there that long. So I'll go and knock on the boot room door, and there's a big, what? And I said, can I come in? And they went, no. And I'm like, what do you do after that? And I'm like, anyway, the door opens. Ronnie Moran popped his head round, and he went, what do you want? I said, I want to know, should I bring my kit tomorrow? And he went, hold on a minute. Didn't close the door all the way, but partly. So he went, Bob, to the manager, should he bring his kit? And he went, not sure. Joe, what do you think? I'm a bit with Bob. Honestly, and it was just like, for Christ's sake. And it was just that whole thing about you not being big-headed, the whole thing. And in the end said, yeah, bring your effing kit, you know what I mean, and get out. Right, and get home and get your feet up. But that was the whole, they were so clever, all that stuff.
VAR.
Oh, scrap it.
Let's discuss it, because why?
Because it doesn't work.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
It doesn't, because they keep getting it wrong. And the problem is now is that the poor referee is under so much pressure. It's unbelievable. They've got so many things wrong this season. They've added another layer to it when it needs actually a layer taken off. Just go back to the way that it was. We've got offside, which is now going to be semi-automatic, whatever that means next season. We've got goal line technology. Let the referee the game. Let him referee.
Do you not think?
Because one of the other things about that would be that they're all fit now. In our days, some of them would have a pouch and everything, but they're all fit now. It's full time, and they're under scrutiny, which they should be because they get well paid. Let them make the decision. And the other thing with VAR for me is slow motion discuss. Why did you show any incident in slow motion? Because the game's not played in slow motion. It's played in the speed that it's at.
But surely it has made more accurate decisions. Like if you think about offsides, because teams have won leagues and lost leagues based on a single offside decision.
Well,
before.
not many. Not many.
Don't you think it's better that we have more accurate decisions?
I don't think we have more accurate decisions.
Is that just because it hasn't been given enough time yet and they don't know how to use it properly?
I think it's had too much time.
Right.
I really do.
In the game.
Or the other thing I would say is that maybe get ex-managers or coaches with VAR. If they want to keep it, that's what I would do. And you'd still need your technical man in there, but just have
someone who knows
time.
the game.
And real time. Because you can't,
right.
that slow motion, it can be anything, can't it? You look at the decision sometimes and you could go foul, no foul, nothing. You could make 3 different reasons for them. So Yeah, I would. And well, I would just scrap it.
Am I the only person alive that thinks this, or is he offside? Is he not? Is it a good decision? Is it not? Add some entertainment to the game.
No.
So some people like it. It's not just me.
But you're in the minority,
Right.
I would have thought.
Yeah.
Well, because you know, and I get this, and you do want it to be right, but if we all agree that the referee makes the final decision.
But because the technology we have, yes, they can make the right decision, but they're going to get killed every time they make the wrong one.
Well, but listen, why do we wait 6 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, that's too much.
Well, it is. I think that's about the average time. We don't need just referee or them look at it once, make a decision.
Yeah.
Make a decision. And you will make some mistakes, but then they made mistakes anyway before.
So do you think it's VAR that's the issue, or how they're using it?
I would say both.
You just think it should be gone?
I do. I really do. I see Sweden have abandoned it, haven't they?
Have they?
Yeah,
and inside the game, do most people agree with you? They think it should be gone?
I think you'll find a whole host of Premier League managers going, no. But I don't. It'll still be here, won't it?
Do you think?
Yeah.
What? Because they'll have to egg on their face if they have to reverse it.
100%. How many times has the head honcho come out on a Monday or a Tuesday and gone, well, this is an unseen bit of it, and you go, and I just feel now what happens is they make you look at the crime in a completely different way, and in the end you're thinking, oh yeah, well yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, get rid.
Well, yeah, and you know, I mean, do you watch rugby union?
Yeah,
yeah. So how good are they?
Yeah,
the referee tells you what's happening.
Yeah.
Football, nothing. And I have this thing about it. You know what I think?
But there's a lot more respect for the referee in rugby.
Yeah, I know there is.
Football.
But then we can get that respect as well if we seriously change. But
as in change the rules, punish it more.
No, so this is what I think now is that referee makes a decision, and he tells the stadium. What's wrong with that? And why are we worried about that? Why are we worried about the fact it's going to upset somebody? Just make that decision. And also the thing they have as well is this, they send someone off for a yellow and he gets a 10-minute ban. Or in that time, they're looking, the rugby union people are looking at actually, was it a yellow or was it a red? And then they decide then, and it either comes back on or they say, no, he's off.
And you think that should be done in football?
I do. I just think...
How would a 10-minute sin bin change yellow cards? Would it make the game a bit soft?
No, I don't think that it would.
No.
I think... How many tackles do you see in a game? You don't see that many tackles anymore, do you?
No.
You really don't see that many tackles.
And do you think that's better for the game, the way the rules have evolved?
Makes the game faster.
Yeah.
So, there's an argument. You'll never get it right 100%. But, you just, at least you look at what's happened and you just go, you know what, fair enough. Instead of having 50,000 saying no. I just think it's like that on your thing. Disruptors.
Yeah.
That's what they are. Disruptors.
But not in a good way.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So what's the absolute best and absolute worst thing about being a professional footballer when you were a professional footballer?
Worst thing is being, shall we say, away at somewhere like Southampton, getting beat, and you've got a 6-hour journey back. That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. And I mean, the getting beat thing, and also insult to injury, 6 hours on the coach if you were lucky.
And the best thing?
Winning.
So basically, it's all about winning and losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be. And I mean, that Liverpool team, we were never, ever, ever under pressure to win stuff. I mean, the supporters will go, we need to win this and we need to win that. Start the season, whoever the manager was would come in the dressing room before we'd even kicked a ball. First day of pre-season. And if you said to him, what would you like to win this year? He'd just look at you and go, if we win one competition, we've done well. And they were all the same like that.
And do you think that was good? It took the pressure off, did it? Or is pressure good?
It took the pressure off, but ultimately it put the pressure on. because you'd think, God, if we only win 1 out of 4, how bad must we be?
And what's the worst injury you ever saw on a pitch?
Oh, I was co-commentating the centre half who played for Coventry.
Not David Boost.
Yes.
Oh, that was.
And
that made you sick looking at it.
Well, I was in the stand commentating.
So you saw it live?
Yeah, and we were commentating. And you know how we knew it was really bad? Because Peter Schmeichel kind of just looked, and he just looked away, and he puked up, I think.
Oh.
Schmeichel puked up. Yeah.
God, they got the photo, didn't they, in the press, where his leg was back on itself.
Yeah. We see, wouldn't.
That wasn't Roy Keane, was it? Who did that?
No. I think it was Smikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think they'd gone in for obviously it must have been corner or something like that. But Schmeichel wasn't at fault or anything. But
No.
he saw it and he just literally turned around and puked.
Ugh, wasn't there like blood everywhere? And
his leg was all over the place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Who's the best footballer that's ever lived?
That's ever lived? Your man at the moment, isn't it?
Ronaldo.
No.
Who?
Not a team player.
No.
Who's just won the World Cup for Argentina?
Messi. Why is Messi better than Ronaldo?
Team player.
Ah, okay.
Team player. Don't get me wrong, Ronaldo, brilliant. But I think most pros would go for Messi. Definitely.
Because of the team element.
It's and all right, the team's built around him, but why wouldn't you build a team around him?
Yeah.
And if you gave him the service, I mean, he was I've never seen anything like him in my life. I saw Pele once at Everton in the 66.
Yeah.
The World Cup in 66. I'd be 8? My dad took me. And he got kicked from pillar to post, but he did some things in there. Even my dad, who was an ex-pro, he was like, wow, yeah, but Messi. He's just a winner as well, isn't he?
Yeah. One thing that really fascinates me is there are thousands of footballers who have a good career, and a few of you manage to get into commentary and punditry and make a good career beyond your football career. How did you manage to do that? Why you and not many others?
Right.
Why just a few?
This is what I think, right? Is because when I was at Liverpool, and Hansen would be the same, when I was at Liverpool, the pair of us, not being funny, we were a top team and we won loads and loads and loads. So we did loads and loads and loads of interviews. And I think people sort of thought, oh, they might know what they're talking about. And I mean, Alan got match of the day before I did. And I got match of the day as well. And I would say it was that. So
it's knowledge and the fact that you're seen so much, you almost get to advertise yourself.
Yeah, I would say so.
And is it knowledge of the game that makes a great pundit and also has these media companies choosing the pundit?
Yeah, and yes to those questions, but also to seeing something that maybe other people didn't particularly see. And I mean, it's completely different now because every game's covered, as we know. And when we were doing match of the day, it was obviously just match of the day, so it might only be 10 minutes about one of the teams. But then you had to kind of come up with something which was, why has this team won this game today? But you had nothing really to show for it. You just had to kind of verbalise what you saw. And I suppose you didn't particularly get nervous because it was something you were kind of used to all the time. Yeah.
Did you worry towards the end of your career that you may not have other opportunities? Had you planned beyond your retirement? Because a lot of footballers, I mean, now, okay, they're 35 plus, but back in your day, I guess it was not much over 30, was it? 32?
No, you're 32, you were finished.
Yeah.
Not really, because I didn't have to.
Because you'd earned well as a footballer?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you might have to live another 60 years beyond that. I mean...
Yeah, my pension's all right. So... But then you're always... I'm not being funny about this, but you kind of think you'd always get a job somewhere.
Yeah. Because you played at the elite level.
Yeah. I mean, now it's, if you really want to work as an ex-Liverpool player, you could work nearly every day.
Right, there's loads of ambassadorial jobs and things like that.
Not even so much that, just all sorts of different things. I mean, I do hospitality at the game every home game, and it's like triple whammy because you get paid, you get fed, and you get to be with the boys.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't see necessarily because they might live 50, 60.
You'll see some ex-players.
You see your ex-players, and you'll understand this, within 5 seconds in that room, you're back on the pitch.
Yeah.
And the Mickey taking, and the whole, and honestly, it's the highlight of the week because,
Do you miss that then, that camaraderie?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's, the other thing as well is that when you play, it is all for one. And it is like band of brothers. It really seriously is, and you just got everybody's back, and when you're fortunate enough to win lots of competitions and all those kind of things, it's even better. And everyone says, "Oh, you're a legend, you're a legend." I think that's an overused word, to be honest with you. But everybody knows you, and everyone wants to speak to you. And quite a few don't want to speak to you and call you all sorts of names under the sun.
What, even at Liverpool?
Good foot? No. No. So no, and it's. I've had an unbelievable. I nearly played cricket.
Wow.
I was on the ground staff at Manchester, at Lancashire.
Right, so you had to make a decision between the two.
I had to make a decision.
Right.
And I'd scored 100 in a game. I was only 14. And it happened to be one of the guys from Old Trafford was from Lancashire and said, can you come down to the nets? Yeah, I lived in Preston, so my mum had to take me and all that. And so I went in the nets, and I bowled a bit and I batted a bit. So I bowled a bit and they go, So like, get the pads on. So I batted a little bit and the guy went, yeah, you've definitely got something. He said, don't you play football? And I said, yeah. And he said, so if I had to ask you football or cricket? And I said, football. And he just shook my hand and went, good luck. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've made the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. The trips would have been better in terms of cricket, wouldn't they?
Well, I suppose it depends where you go.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
India, Pakistan in those days, I don't think were great places to go.
Yeah.
I'm just talking as though I'd be an England international.
yeah, just assumed.
Obviously not.
Yeah.
Now, I've been on a mission for 17 years to help as many people on this planet get better financial knowledge. If, like me, you'd like to make, manage and multiply more money, I recommend that you join my digital financial freedom platform. It's really easy to join. You just type in rob.team. There you're going to learn my 4 M's of making, managing, maintaining and multiplying more money. And the even better news is there's no risk to you because it costs less than 20 pence a day to join. You can cancel anytime. Join right now. I'll also give you my 12-week Money Mastermind University completely for free. It exposes the banking system and teaches you how to play them at their own game. If you join rob.team right now, you get that completely for free. Just type in rob.team. We'll see you inside with the 10,000 other members in rob.team.
So we've got 2 rounds left.
Go on.
And we always have a disruptors round because this show is called Disruptors.
Yeah. I think I got that plug in for you before, though.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all right.
Although I think my audience knows now after 1,000 episodes. So what's the biggest disruption that's ever happened to you in your life? It can be football or otherwise.
My biggest disruption was my mum leaving us.
Oh, wow.
Can I say that?
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mum left us, yeah. When we were, I was 13 and my sister would be 14 and a half.
Did she tell you why?
She met another guy, but we don't know the whole story. And we never, she's passed away, unfortunately, but we never knew. My mum always said to us, I'll never tell you what happened, but you would have done the same thing.
Oh, wow. So did that put seeds in your mind about your dad then?
Yeah, but my dad was just like a lovely, lovely bloke. So that made it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Her leaving was a big thing. And I remember I was at St. Teresa's Primary School in Penworth and Preston, and I would run back at 3:10 and I'd have a paper round. So I'd run in the house, get a load of ginger biscuits, put them in my pocket for eating what I'm doing my round and everything, go and pick my papers up. When I ran to the house this particular day, my mum just popped her head around the lounge door and she went, "You need to come in here a minute." And I was thinking, that's funny. And I got in there. My dad was in there. We had a post office, which my dad was there 24/7. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. Anyway, they said, your mum's leaving and all that kind of stuff. And I just stood there. And I remember going, all right, can I go and take my paper round now? Because you don't know what to say, do you, at that age? But it worked out. It worked out. My dad played for Preston once, right? And I have, I think I've got loads of different photos of me playing and all those kind of things. This one is the best ever. And it's my dad making his debut for Preston at White Hart Lane, right? He's in the middle. On his left is Sir Tom Finney, and on his right is Sir Alf Ramsey. Sir Alf obviously played for Tottenham, and Sir Tom played for Preston. That's just my best picture. Yeah.
What drove you to become a professional footballer? Was it anything to do with your parents, or was it just something inside of you?
Something inside of me.
You just love playing?
Love playing. And, you know, that story I told you about do the papers, everything. Then I'd have tea and I'd run onto the park and play. And I played with the guys that were 2 or 3 years older, which was great. And I was skinny.
Did that make you better, quicker?
Yeah. I was a skinny runt.
Yeah.
Really seriously was, honestly. Gangly legs and like... But it was all I ever wanted to do. And my mum wanted me to be a priest. So good luck with that one, Mother. and what happened was, so I got my 11 plus. People won't even know what that is. Well, they got my 11 plus. And my mum said, right, you're going to boarding school in Dumfries, Scotland. And I'm like, no. And she went, no, you are. And I said, I don't want to go. And she was doing it for all the right reasons and everything. And I said, well, do they play football? And she went, well, I don't know. I said, well, if they don't play football, I'm not going. And I'm like, you know, I wouldn't say boo to a goose. Anyway, she came back to me and she said, they don't play football. So you can go to the... So I went to college. Well, college. It was run by the... what was the name of them? Run by the priests. And it was tough. But it was good. Yeah.
And what's the biggest risk you've ever taken in your life?
I don't know, actually, to be honest with you. Probably when I bought my first house, I was in Brighton, and £17,500 seemed an awful lot of money. And everyone's obviously had mortgages and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, now, am I going to be able to pay this? And I thought I'd put myself in a wrong position, but obviously I didn't.
Do you actually know what that house is worth now?
No.
I bet it. How many bedrooms was it?
2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom on a new estate. You can imagine.
In Brighton. Surely
Shoreham,
that must be what?
Shoreham, which
300
is Brighton.
grand now, surely. I don't know the market.
Don't call
down
me
there,
Shirley, but yeah. Probably.
A lot more.
Yeah, but I used to buy and sell houses.
Right, on the side.
As a player.
What, to make the money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously...
Did anyone come in and
tax-free.
advise you to do that, or you just
No,
figured that out?
I kind of... Because, you know, so then I moved from Brighton to Liverpool, got more money, bought a bigger house, and I'm suddenly thinking, wow. And, of course, they don't make land anymore, do they?
No.
So I had... In one road, I had 3 houses.
Wow.
Not at the same time.
Yeah.
Just progressed up the chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the most brutal life lesson you've ever had?
Brutal.
Hardest.
Do you know what it was? Do you know when you go out on a day and it's an icy pavement, not to have both hands in your pocket? Do you know what happened?
Go on.
I tripped over and I bust my tooth. And like, at the age of 10, you're thinking, what the hell? Because you couldn't have an implant or anything like that. I was just like, and I ran home crying to my mum. Soppy kid.
You must have had a good life if slipping on ice was your most brutal life lesson.
Yeah, well, listen, losing your parents and people close to you. Yeah, actually, no, you know what? I need to reverse that because I lost my sister at, she was 32. Oh. She just got married. And she'd had breast cancer, got over that, and got married on the Saturday in Lytham St Anne's, near Blackpool. And, you know, we're at the after party and everything, and she said to me, I feel really poorly. I was really close to her. I kind of, in a way, I brought her up as a kid because we brought her a hotel, and we didn't have a bed for me and my sister. Not her, but my other sister. Anyway, long story about that. Anyway, I was really, really close to her. And And she said, no, I feel really poorly. So I said, tell you what, we'll go and see the specialist because, he'd looked after her and everything and she'd fought the cancer. So we went and with my mum and dad, and she went for a scan. And the guy came back, she was still where the scan was, and he'd got the scan, and he just went, he said, she's got, the cancer's like that. He said, the size of a tennis ball. He said, she's probably only got 2 weeks to live. That was 2 days after she was married. So you imagine me mother and father. And I'm like, oh God. And my stepfather it was. And I said, look, it'll be longer than that. We can do this, we can do that. And the specialist said to me, there's a guy in Liverpool will send in the scan, and sometimes he takes these things on, and other people then came back and he just said no, it was too big, and where it was there was too many things attached to it, and he just said no. So so then my mum and dad go, what are we going to tell her? And I just said, well, why don't we tell her that she's going to get better before she gets... she's going to get worse before she gets better. And they went, yeah, okay. She lasted 16 weeks. And my mum, being an Irish Catholic, so we had the ladies in every night to look after her through the night who were brilliant. And my mum sat with them every single night. And they used to go to her, Teresa, look, go to bed. Just go to bed. Nothing's going to happen. But yeah, she lasted 16 weeks.
Wow.
And when I think about how lucky I was, just to give her 25% of my luck would have made all the difference. But yeah, she died.
And do you have a sense of gratitude for your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that story alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I did. Oh, yeah. I do, something people think I'm a bit morbid and a bit whatever, but every day, especially now, because you're near the end game, aren't you?
How old are you now?
66.
Wow.
I'll be 67 on the 2nd of June.
Right.
Yeah, never been kissed. 3 wives.
And what are you going to do for the rest of your life? What's your plan? Not BBC.
It's not BBC. It's difficult to say. If I can still work at Liverpool on a regular basis, fab.
Do you ever think you want to retire?
No, it would drive me mad.
Yeah,
absolutely, totally.
And you still want to always work in the game of football?
I'd like to, yeah. And I work a bit for Paddy Power as well, they are good fun. Yeah. What it says on the tin, they are good fun. So and I go and watch Preston. And I sometimes go and watch Leeds. Yeah. Because Leeds are closer, but Preston are my team. Yeah. No.
What's the most disruptive thing anyone's ever said or done to you?
Oh, when I signed for Preston, a guy who was the first team coach, a guy called Norman Bedell, I'd had a couple of bookings very, very early on in my career, only 16 and everything, and he pulled me into the trainer's room one day, and he went, you are never, ever, ever going to make it, ever. Right. And I'm like, oh, right, okay, well, what do we say? And
how did you feel about that?
Shit.
Did it make you...
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
A Liverpool legend.
Yeah. And you know what? He apologised to me after
he shouldn't. A while. He gave you a great gift, didn't he?
He did. He did. And, I think he meant it at the time, but then he'd gone away to another club, and I did bump into him, and he just went, many, many apologies, and he went, but maybe I helped you along the way, and I went, maybe you did. Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest failure?
Marriage.
Which
married
one?
3 times.
Shit. Are you still married?
I'm down to an 8th.
Are you still married now?
No, I'm engaged to be married.
For the 4th time?
Yeah.
Is there not a lesson from the other 3?
Yeah, absolutely. What, stupid idiot from Preston? Of course not. I've met the right person.
How do you know? You're not at the end yet?
No, I know I have.
How's this different from the other 3?
Just massively different.
How?
Just in every single way. I mean, my first one only lasted about 3 months. It was just a mistake. I was down in Brighton and someone to marry me now. Right. And the second one, I should really still have been with. And the third one.
Why aren't you still with the second one?
I got a bit blasé. And was always out with the boys and all those kind of things. And the third one was a mistake. So but my 2 kids are with the third one.
Right.
And my kids, everyone thinks the kids are fine and good. I would say my kids are good and they're nice and they're polite and they've got jobs and everything. But so the lady I'm with now is, yeah.
So what have you learned from 3 marriages and 3 divorces?
It costs you an absolute fortune. I'm told you an eighth. So you go from half, quarter, eighth. So that's where I am. But who needs money?
Everyone.
She's just absolutely, in every way, she's absolutely fab. She gets me. And
are you hard to be married to?
Not now.
Were you then for the other 3? Do you have a bit of sympathy for your past ex-wives?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why were you hard to be married to?
I just messed around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
But, the great thing about the third one was saying my kids was the best thing I've ever done. Forget about football or anything like that. Best thing I've ever done. When we go out and some people say how nice your children are, that's like one of the best things you can ever have.
Yeah. So, what would you say is your greatest regret?
Greatest regret? I don't have one. People.
Everyone says that.
But I don't. But people will always say to me, "Why didn't you wait to play for England?" And all the England managers, obviously because I played for the Republic, all the England managers said you would have played for us. And I said, "Well, yeah, you can say that because you didn't have to pick me. But I know, and Liverpool told me this, that they made their mind up to sign me after watching me play international football, not just in the same league. They made their mind up."
So Republic got you Liverpool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't regret that?
No.
So everyone says that, but I still think we all have at least one thing where if we would have gone back, we would have done it differently.
Yeah, well, I could say I could have 3 because if I'd gone back and not married any of the 3, it would have been all right, wouldn't it?
But isn't that also life experience? I mean, you haven't broken a law.
No, it absolutely totally is. Absolutely, totally is. Yeah, I wouldn't change. Yeah, the only thing I would change would be don't snap your Achilles.
Yeah, but then you couldn't help that, could you?
No.
I mean, how is that like a really devastating, the worst injury in football? Is it?
It was. You can recover now.
Right.
The way that medicine is and all the later.
Did you ever play the same again after Achilles?
I came back and played in Liverpool's team, and I was faking it. Well, when I say faking it, I knew I was struggling.
Yeah.
And we played Arsenal at home. The ball came to me and just bounced up, and I just kicked it in the stand and walked off. I knew. And they tried all sorts of things with me to try and get it.
You knew your career was over?
Well, I knew my career was over because I couldn't run. I was quick when I played. I was quick. And I was nowhere near. And the guy, I went to Lillishall to this guy who taught people to walk again after car crashes and stuff. And he said to me, he had me for 24 hours doing all sorts of stuff. And he went, "Are you insured?" And I insured myself. I told you before, I was the first person ever at Liverpool. I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Take the money." So I went, "Surely I could." He said, "What happens is," he said, "you'll overcompensate on your other leg and you'll do exactly the same." He said, "Walk away now." So I did.
And how old were you?
29.
Wow.
And then the next day, I was Oxford United manager for Mr. Maxwell. There is a story.
Tell me this then. Come on.
What? It was horrible.
Was it? Why? What was? You mean for Robert Maxwell?
So Kevin was my boss. Kevin was the same age as me.
Who?
Kevin Maxwell.
Yeah.
I was the same age. We were both the same age, and he was great with me because he didn't want. He was in charge of the team and in charge of the club. But he didn't want it. And he said to me, "Look, you get on and run this, and whatever you need, we'll try and sort it out," and all those kind of things. Anyway, so I'm trying to be very quick because it's a bit long-winded. But so Robert Maxwell owns Derby. Kevin Maxwell owns Oxford. And so fine. I have a player called Dean Saunders playing for, right. So I've taken the Oxford job, 8 games to go. We're relegated. And Kevin just said, have a look at the players and, we'll go down a league. We'll give you some money for other players, all that kind of thing. So we did all that and everything. Got Dean Saunders to sign a new 3-year contract because he would score 25 goals in the old first division that was. And he was a great lad. And I said to them, I said to Kevin, your dad keeps asking about, or Arthur Cox, who's the manager of Derby, keeps asking about Dean Saunders. And I said, I've told him he signed a new contract, 3 years. Maybe at the end of the season we don't go up, we can have him. Cox, and I knew Arthur, and he was like nearly every single game. October comes up, we're 5th in the league, going quite nicely. We're playing Blackburn Rovers at home. Kevin rings me about 11, half 11 before a 3 o'clock kickoff. Dean Saunders can't play, he's going to Derby. And I went, I'm going to pick him. He said, no, you're not. You're not going to pick him. Anyway, I picked him and he scored. Right, and of course, coming afterwards, Kevin's on the phone. Went, you're a lucky boy. And I went, Kevin, you know what? I'm not lucky boy. I'm an unlucky boy because you're now going to take our best player away. And you said to me that he'd be there for a year. And he went, yep, sorry, but it's my father. Right, so fine. So Dean comes in after the match, suited and booted, and goes, Gaffer. And I went, yeah, I know you're going. It's fine. I know you've been tapped up. Fine. He said, can you help me? And I said, what's that? Can you ask me what to ask for? And I went, think of a figure and double it. I said, because there's no way you're going to Oxford to Mr. Maxwell and he's sending you back because you can't agree the deal. Anyway, he loves me, Dean Saunders, because he said, I did exactly what you asked and I got like fortunes. Brilliant. So then I'm left without a striker. Okay. So Kevin rings me that night after the match and says, you're all right? And I said, no, I'm not all right. He says, well, I'll tell you what. He said, my dad's in Paris. He's coming into the Mirror buildings tomorrow because they're on the Mirror, the Daily Mirror, the People, the Sunday and the Sunday Mirror. He said, he's coming in tomorrow. Why don't you come and see him? I went, yeah, I'll come and see him. So I went in with the secretary of Oxford, Jim Hunt. He came with me, trying to kind of calm me down. We go to the Mirror buildings. We're up at the top because he's coming in on a helicopter, right? I'd met him twice, very, very briefly. And he came in. And he, big fat man, big fat man. And he came in and looked at me. He sat on this coffee table in the middle of the room and it had Chinese inlaid writing on anything. It looked really flimsy. And I thought, if there's a God, he's going through the middle of this, right? Anyway, it buckled. It didn't. And it didn't crack. And he looked at me and he said, what's your problem? I imagine that, and it just all came out, and I called him every name under the sun. And he looked at me, and he said, I quite like you, actually. And I went, yeah. And he went, but, at the end of the day? I said, what? He just went, it's got fuck all to do with you, and walked out. And then the next day, they sacked me for threatening to walk out on them, which I didn't do, but at least I got paid up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was...
And I knew Ghislaine.
Really?
Yeah.
You knew Ghislaine?
I knew Ghislaine, yeah, because she'd only be 19, 20, something like that. And I used to get invited.
Was there any murmurings of all this stuff back then?
No. She was still at uni.
Yeah.
She was beautiful, in fairness to her. She was stunning. And I used to get invited to a Sunday lunch occasionally and sit there, and he actually... one day said to all the boys and girls at the lunch, all his family and his wife was there. I was the only one who wasn't kind of part of the family. And he said, she, pointing at Ghislaine, is the only person in this room apart from me with any balls. I'll never, ever forget that.
Wow. Do you think Robert Maxwell was evil?
Pushed. He was pushed over.
Really?
Yeah.
Pushed over by?
Mossad.
Really?
That's the story I was told from somebody who was very,
he was pushed
very
over the
close.
Boat. Why?
By Mossad.
Why?
Because he owned them zillions. Oh. And they realised they weren't getting it. And you know what they're like? You don't get an extra chance. I was told that by a lunchtime thing I went to with all the girls and boys who'd been sacked by Maxwell. So it was a little bit of whatever. But they said, honestly, to a man and a woman, pushed over. Because he couldn't swim. So what they did with him when he was still alive, he had a massive big rubber ring, and he'd jump attached to a rope, and he'd jump into the sea, swim around, and then they'd pull him back in, right? But they'd also turn the cameras on him in case there was a problem. The cameras on the boat in case there was a problem. Everybody standing by. This day, no cameras, no nothing. And then the next thing is about 5 days later, he turns up in Tenerife, bloated and dead.
Wow. And
that's what they said to me. They said, honestly, Mark,
wow,
the Israelis aren't getting their money. He's
gone.
I know.
And do you think Ghislaine Maxwell maybe got a bit of her darker streak from Robert Maxwell?
Could have done. Could have done. It makes a mad story, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Management, last question before my normal final question. Management, how did that go for you? And
softly and quickly. Well, I was only at Oxford for probably 6-7 months, and 2.5 of those were end of season, pre-season. In fact, my best purchase was the Zanussi fridge. It was the only thing that worked on a regular basis. And then I went to Peterborough, to here, yeah. And I had a.
And what division were Peterborough in then?
They were in division now would be 2.
Yeah.
And we were going great. And the owner, Irish guy who'd been at Oxford, who'd been on the board, and he rang me up, said, "Come and take over," and all that. And I said, "Oh, you know what, John? No, I've done the thing with Oxford." And he went, "Come on." Anyway, he persuaded me. But I'll tell you what happened. We were going well, and I bought four really old players, which sounds stupid, but they were senior pros, and their deal was they only got half the money if they didn't play. So they're at it, and they were great, and we hardly conceded any goals, and we were decent up front and everything. He came in on I think it was a Thursday morning. John came in because he very rarely came. He just left it to me. Everything left. You run whatever you need to run, and he came in and he said, those four guys. And I said, yeah, the experienced ones who've done really, really well for us. He went, yeah, they can't play on Saturday. I said, why? He said, did you see yesterday what happened in the stock exchange or the stock market? I went, no. So there was like a black Wednesday when everything went crash, and he was building houses in Weston-super-Mare and apartments. And he went, you have to play the kids. I said, we haven't got any kids. We just didn't have any kids. And he said, well, they're not playing. And
why?
Because they were going to get an extra 300 quid each, so that was 1,200 quid.
Oh.
And he was obviously thinking straight away, where can we cut everything?
Right.
And he came to me, and I just said, I'm going to walk. He went, okay.
And did you go back into management after that?
No.
Why not? Because it sounded like you got a couple of
I think
things above your head that affected you.
The only thing I did, I was the first defensive coach in the country with Kevin Keegan at Newcastle. Kevin Keegan and Terry McDermott. And I did 2 sessions in 9 months. So I got there. Kevin said to me, and the team was struggling a little bit because, they were great going forward in those. They were brilliant. And he said, look, we're not right at the moment. He said, just look at it defensively. He said, but just join in with training. He said, and then eventually we'll do something. The first session I took was the day after he walked out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he'd fallen out with the board over. They were going to be a PLC, weren't they? And one thing and another, and Kevin just walked. So I did two basic whatevers and then Kenny came in. Kenny came in as manager, and he said, "What you been doing?" I said, "I'm fit." I said, "I feel like I can play." He said, I've been doing absolutely nothing. I've done 2 sessions. He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, do you need me?" He said, "Well, let's give it a go and see whatever." He's bringing other people, and he's my big mate. In the meantime, Match of the Day guy came on and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, I don't know if I'm here or I'm not or whatever, and I'm not going to do what I was supposed to be doing. He went, "You want to come on Match of the Day on a regular basis?" I went, "Yeah." Yeah.
And there we are.
Yeah.
And is it fair how much more Gary Lineker got paid at the BBC than everyone else?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's very, very, very good.
What makes him good?
I think if you watch the programme every week, it's it's funny. They get to the point, and he's got a word for everything. And I don't know of any other footballer who could have done that. And they wanted a footballer, and especially wanted a little bit of a change following Des Lynam, because Des Lynam was right up there, brilliant.
Yeah.
And you know, when Gary started on Radio 5, you just said, there's no way in the world he's ever going to be fronting Match of the Day, ever, because he was hopeless. His own words, not mine. And he slowly but surely got better and better and better. And then Des went to ITV, and he went in, and from day one, we did really, really well.
And what did you think about that whole standoff with him in the BBC?
Yeah, well, he just won it hands down, didn't he?
Yeah.
They wet the pants, didn't they? Well, he did, didn't they? Just like, and in the end...
It rolled over for a tickle.
Oh, honestly. And in the end, you just think, oh, my goodness, but not really a surprise.
I was really pleased about that. Yeah. Good on him.
Yeah,
a lot of people probably wouldn't have.
No, and I think where he was fortunate was that because he works for his own company. So technically, they couldn't really have sacked him anyway. So
A big risk to sack him from Match of the Day.
well, absolutely, but they could have had a reason. But
Yeah.
he's just saying, no, it's just my take on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he's done brilliantly. Honestly, if you'd seen or heard him in the first few weeks, you'd have gone,
Yeah.
no chance. He'd be out emptying the bins. Yeah.
Wow. So this show is called Disruptors. What does the word disruptive mean to you, Mark?
It means to me this afternoon travelling like 150 miles to come and speak to you. and get
on a bank holiday Monday.
On a bank holiday Monday I had a great driver, but he got me an hour early. I could have stayed in bed. So I feel like my life today has been disrupted.
Has it been worth it?
No. Yes, no, it's good.
Well, I've enjoyed it,
Can
Mark.
I just say,
Yes.
that's the first time I've ever spoken in public about my sister.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing
No,
that.
well, it's just, it's, I'm of that age, aren't I? But it's the first time, you kind of keep it bottled up and everything, but...
Yeah.
No.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
No, it's
and I know I told you when we were talking before, but I've been a Liverpool fan my whole life, and I loved watching you play. I grew up watching you play.
Me and Hanson.
Yeah, you and Alan. So just thanks for everything you've done.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
All right.